The Burger Chef murders began at a Burger Chef restaurant in Speedway, Indiana, on the night of Friday the 17th of November, 1978. 4 young employees went missing in what was initially thought to be a petty theft of cash from the restaurant safe. By Saturday morning it became a clear case of robbery-kidnapping, and by Sunday, when their bodies were discovered. While investigators believe they have identified some or all of the perpetrators, without physical evidence they have not been able to prosecute those who remain alive. At some point between 11 p.m., closing time, and midnight, 23 o'clock and 2400 hours ET, on the 17th of November, 1978, 4 employees of Burger Chef restaurant in Speedway, Indiana, at 5725 Crawfordsville Road, disappeared. Assistant Manager Jane Freet, 20, Daniel Davis, 16, Mark Flemons, 16, and Ruth Ellen Shelton, 18. A fellow employee who came by at midnight to visit the 4 noticed that the restaurant was empty, the money safe was open, and the back door ajar, and raised the alarm. Police found 2 empty currency bags and an empty roll of adhesive tape next to the open safe. Initially, police did not consider the case to be serious, given that management reported the loss of only approximately $581, equivalent to $2,277,000 in 2020. From the safe and no clear signs of a struggle. It was thought to be a case of petty embezzlement, with the assumption that the pilfered cash had been used by the youths to go partying that night. More than $100 in coins was left in the registers. Although the purses and jackets of the missing women had been left at the shop, the petty theft theory initially seemed most likely, and the scene was cleaned by employees early Saturday morning. Buddy L. Wanger, a Speedway police officer who was eventually assigned to the case, admitted, "We screwed it up from the beginning." Not only was the restaurant cleaned and allowed to be reopened, but no photographs were taken beforehand, effectively eliminating all potential evidence at the crime scene. When the 4 did not show on Saturday morning and Freet's Vega was found partially locked in town, it became evident that they had been abducted while closing the restaurant for the night. With the attack possibly beginning as they removed trash bags out the back door. On Sunday afternoon, hikers found the bodies of the 4 over 20 miles, 32 kilometers, away, in the rural woods of Johnson County. Both Davis and Shelton had been shot execution-style numerous times with a .38 caliber firearm. Freet had been stabbed twice in the chest. The handle of the knife had broken off and was missing. The blade was later recovered during an autopsy. Flemons was later determined to have been bludgeoned, possibly with a chain, and died from choking to death on his own blood. All 4 victims were still wearing their Burger Chef uniforms. Money and watches were found on the dead victims, implying that robbery might not have been the sole motive for the murders. The leading theory has been that the 4 victims were kidnapped during a botched robbery. Possibly after one of the victims recognized one of the perpetrators. Flemons was covering for another employee's shift and was not scheduled to work that night, leading investigators to speculate that perhaps he was the one who recognized the killers, since they had not planned on him being there. On the night of the murders, a 16-year-old eyewitness saw 2 suspicious men in a car outside the Burger Chef just before closing. Both men were white and in their 30s. One man had a beard, the other was clean-shaven with light-colored hair. The police had models of the suspects created in clay to assist the investigation. Later that year, a man in a bar in Greenwood bragged that he had been involved in the killings. Police subsequently questioned him, but he passed a polygraph claiming not to have been involved, and officers were unable to bring charges on other grounds. The man provided the names of others whom he suggested belonged to a fast food robbery gang, and whom investigators suspected may have been involved in this case. While following up on these leads in Franklin, officers spotted a man who bore a strong resemblance to the bearded man composite. Summoned for a lineup, the man shaved his beard, which he had had for the previous 5 years, the night before he was to appear. A neighbor of his, who had not been spotted by the original witness but who had been named by the Greenwood suspect, subsequently went to prison for strong-arm robberies committed with a shotgun. Another associate named by the Greenwood suspect, who fit the description of the fair-haired man, also subsequently was imprisoned for other armed robberies of fast food restaurants. However, without confessions, despite offers of plea deals to any, investigators continued to follow leads relating to possible suspects as widely as Cincinnati, Milwaukee, Chicago and Dallas. However, they were not able to find any more promising leads, or to locate the evidence they believed would have been most useful: the firearm, the handle of the knife, and the chain used in the murders. Nor have any perpetrators made confessions to police, though the son of the bearded suspect has told police that he confided in him that he had been involved prior to his own death. Ken York, one of the original investigators on the case, has noted that the deaths of the Greenwood suspect and the bearded suspect, from an apparent suicide and a heart attack respectively, came suspiciously close after the release of the armed robber named by the suspect from the Greenwood bar. In 1981, Freet's brother James was investigated for involvement in the murders after being arrested for unrelated drug charges, but was cleared of involvement in less than a week. In 1984, Detective Mel Wilsey of the Marion County Sheriff's Department received a call from an inmate at the Pendleton Correctional Facility named Donald Forrester, who was serving a 95-year prison sentence for rape. Forrester said he was involved in the murders and was willing to confess in order to avoid his scheduled transfer to the notoriously violent Indiana State Prison. At first the call seemed promising, as Forrester was a career criminal who was living in Speedway when the murders took place, and was not incarcerated at the time. Wilsey got a court order to bring Forrester to Marion County, where he confessed to shooting Davis and Shelton. He then led police to the crime scene in the woods, where he accurately described the location and position of the dead bodies when they were found. He also knew about the broken handle of the knife, which was not widely publicized. According to Forrester, Freet's brother James owed money on a drug deal, so he and 3 other associates had gone to the restaurant to threaten her. But when Flemons intervened to protect Freet, a fight broke out outside Burger Chef, during which Flemons fell and hit his head on the bumper of a car. Believing Flemons was dead or dying, Forrester and his accomplices decided to abduct and kill all the employees to eliminate all the witnesses to their crime. Forrester said he shot Davis and Shelton, and gave the names of 3 men he claimed were responsible for killing Flemons and Freet. He then led the police to a spot where he claimed he had thrown the gun into a river. However, a thorough search of the river did not find any weapon. Next, Wilsey interviewed Forrester's ex-wife, who said that days after the murders, Forrester had driven with her out to a wooded area, where he left her in the car and got out to retrieve several firearm shell casings off the ground. He had then driven back home and flushed the casings down the toilet. Wilsey then got a warrant to search the septic tank of the house, which was now owned by someone else. The search turned up several spent .38 caliber shell casings. However, after someone within the sheriff's office leaked details of Forrester's cooperation, he suddenly recanted his confession, claiming it was coerced. With no further cooperation from Forrester and no direct evidence proving he committed the crime, Forrester was never charged. He died in prison from cancer in 2006 at age 55. despite thousands of hours of police investigation, as well as Burger Chef offering a reward of $25,000 to anyone who could capture the murderers or provide information about their whereabouts. The attackers were never prosecuted, and the case remains officially unsolved. Indiana State Police continue to hold the case open, and have reportedly investigated the use of DNA tracing techniques developed since the initial investigations. Suspects not directly responsible for the killings, and without direct physical evidence of the involvement of the suspects in the murders, the police were not able to effect an arrest. At the time, there was some speculation that the murders were tied to other crimes that had shocked the town over the preceding months, such as the murder of Julia Cyphers and the Speedway bombings. At the time, the perpetrator of the bombings was still on the loose. However, these cases were subsequently found to be unconnected to the November murders. During the summer of 2018, the community, as well as family and friends of the victims, raised money to plant 4 red oak trees in their honor. Each tree is adorned with a plaque with a short biography of one of the victims. The original monetary goal was surpassed within 24 hours. With the extra funds, a marble bench was installed and dedicated to their family and friends. On the 10th of November, 2018, just 1 week before the 40th anniversary, a small dedication ceremony for family and friends was held at the memorial site at Leonard Park in Speedway, Indiana. Thank you for watching Fathers on the Case. Please like and subscribe.